Hello, hello, hello. My name is Marilyn Richards. Welcome to Echo Tango Sierra. And I am here because, um, first of all, let me just start. Let's start this episode one with the question, now what? If you're a veteran, military member of the family, and you're attached to the military community, and you're in the transition process of, okay, now we're leaving this post, we're going elsewhere, or we're leaving the military altogether. Now what? What do we do? Where do we go? Right? Have you been there? I've been there. I've been there like multiple times. I'm not just a dual service veteran. I served in the Navy first. Then when 9/11 happened, I joined the Air Force because I was unemployed for a few months and just didn't know what to do with my life. And then I felt the calling to go back into the military after the events of September 11th, 2001 unfolded. But both times when I was in the military, I did not transition well. Didn't adjust very well either. And so you might be thinking the same thing if you're watching this and you're a veteran or a family member um, being tagged along and wondering now what. I was on information overload. So I've taken TAPS twice. If you don't know what TAPS is, if you've not taken it yet, it's a great program. It's the Transition Assistance Program. TAPS threw everything at me: resumes, job boards, acronyms, and checklists. If you have not taken the program, if you're at an installation or you're in a unit that doesn't have that kind of program, and you're wondering now what, I get it. You're like, I don't, where do I go? What do I do? Because that was me for a very long time, and you're like, you're so used to this kind of structured way of living. You have orders, you're expected to show up at 06 or 7 or whatever time you start duty, and then you accomplish that mission. And then on deployment, you're so busy, focused on the mission that everything else kind of takes a back burner, right? So you spend your life in this certain structure and cycle until one day you're ready for a change and you say, I'm going to get out. And the question is, now what? Exactly. Where do I go? What do I do from here? I think I have an idea. Maybe not a really great idea. I don't know. I don't know what my next mission is. If that's you, I'm here to help you through that. I am your battle buddy in the civilian world. I help you forge again. Excuse me. I help you forge ahead in life planning and transition planning. So that's the question. How do you write about yourself? What is your identity outside of the uniform? Have you thought about that? What are your dreams? What are your goals? Have you thought about your life in the next 5 or 10 years? How do you explain your skills in a way that people understand? How do you want to do what you did in the military and continue that? For some veterans, that's great. I've known veterans throughout my lifetime where they've retired and gone back to the same position that they were doing as a civilian. I've had other veterans who wanted to pursue something else, whether that would be another industry, another job, another industry, maybe just focusing on school for a while, wondering how to unravel the GI Bill benefits and going to school, maybe taking a break and backpacking through Europe. I don't know, something you've always wanted to do on your bucket list. Well, how do you plan for that? Do you have any savings? Or did you blow it away on deployment with alcohol and taxis and hotels like I did? Over there in the Middle East, what do? You live it up because as a sailor in the Navy, you work so hard and you want to just live your life and take advantage of the freedom of that small window of liberty before you have to go back and do it all over again. So that was me. When I got out, I didn't have a plan, I didn't have a savings. And that's the thing that, reality sets in and you have to think, oh, now what? How do I plan for that? Well, I need a job first. Well, maybe I shouldn't. I don't want to be around people. I'm not a people person. I want to be left alone. There's that side of things too. Unfortunately, I have some bad news. If you're a person that doesn't like people, we are, we can't live alone. We can't live without each other. We were created for relationships. We were created for community. Reintegrating back into the civilian community is a hard thing. And I know because I've been doing it for the last, I don't know, 20 something years after bopping around place to place, job to job, doing things just to survive. You know, these are the questions to ask yourself. Do you want to go back to school? Do you want to get another job? Are you prepared to be around civilians who don't understand you and what you've been through? Maybe you just want to take a break. Who knows? But you know what? You have to have a plan when you get out because you have life goes on. And when that silence hits, boy, is that saying, the struggle is real because it is. And it sucks. And it sucks when you're going through it by yourself. I suffered a long time in silence alone. I pretended that I was okay when I was not. And it's great. We put on that face and we say everything's fine. And really, it's not. But you know what? It's okay if you're not okay. And I'm here to be your battle buddy through the struggles that you're facing in the transition process. Even though the structure is gone, even though the people that you once served with are no longer, you've separated from that. If it's just you and your family and you're alone in your thoughts, you don't have to struggle alone. When I first got out of the military, so maybe first or for second, because 9/11, 2001 happened. And for those who might watch this video and don't know about the history and the events of 9/11, history books will not teach you what exactly happened. And there's too many conspiracy theories out there on social media. So do yourself a favor, get into an educational program that will help teach you the History Channel, the Discovery Channel, uh, a platform that's actually going to tell you what happened. And it has to be from a .edu or .gov or a legit website so you can understand. The saying goes, history is doomed to repeat itself if we let ignorance continue, right? We don't want our futures bent upon ignorant people. So do yourself a favor, read up on our history, and help you help others by don't make negative decisions based on your emotions and your own personal opinions, because at the end of the day, we're all going to have different differences. How do you work around those differences? Well, the military was a great place for us to help each other like get along even when we kind of had those conflicts with one another, right? I mean, you're not going to get along with everyone, but you know what? You had your battle buddy over here and you had a battle buddy over here. And at the end of the day, we were here for each other. And you're going to have to face that same aspect in a world where people are going to be politically divided, very strongly opinionated, and so are we as veterans because we've lived a very different life, but it's still very important to integrate into the civilian community, knowing that you can't make it alone, and we're gonna need each other through it, especially as things become more challenging in the days ahead. When I wasn't just okay, so let me back up here. I wasn't just struggling trying to find a job. I was actually struggling mentally and emotionally as well. I was taught to suck it up. I was taught to embrace the suck, but it does not work like that in civilian life. So how do you unbaggage or unwrap or get these things off your chest? The first thing, when I first filed for my VA disability compensation, I had to recognize that I had a problem. This is first things first. Recognize that you have a problem and you need help. That's the first thing. In order to get help, you need to ask for help. But you need to realize that you do need help. That's the first thing. So, to get unstuck, you're going to have to make that first move to get unstuck. And that's what this episode is about. Um, if you're watching this and you're kind of you're struggling like with some mental health challenges, you're struggling with your emotions and trying to relate or reconnect with your loved ones. Because I know I did. I felt misunderstood and disoriented for the longest time. And as a Navy sailor going into the Air Force, I really felt disconnected because I couldn't relate to anyone. I had a real taste of the real military, and that's why the Air Force gets um, a lot of we make fun of it a lot and call it the chair force because it really does mirror a really good corporate and work-life balance. Depending on where you are, you might have some sucky hours and some sucky people that you work for, but overall, the quality of life, you can't get any better in the military. But, I was struggling. I was struggling with trauma. I was struggling with what happened, not just in my childhood, but what happened, my tour in the military was very challenging and very harsh, and definitely not made for the weak. And you struggle with your emotions because you're taught, emotions don't help when you're in a hostile environment. So we're taught to compartmentalize for a reason. It works in hostile environments, but it does not work in civilian life or daily life. And that's the first thing that we need to focus on is getting grounded and reintegrating ourselves back into our new identities. Now, who we are in the military, that will always be with us. But so many people get so stuck in their service and in their past that they can't move forward in life. And I find that particularly amongst the Vietnam veteran or the hardcore generation of those who've gone before us who don't know how to open up and talk about what's happened, which is not fair. It's not a healthy thing. It's not a healthy mechanism. I come from a family of Vietnam vets, and that generation finally it's hard for them to talk about it. But you know what? Someone told me it was hard for me to talk about what I went through. But you know what? Once I recognized that I was not alone, once I started seeking help, I realized like, oh, I don't have to carry this burden alone. And I'm here to tell you you don't have to either. And when you start talking about it, you begin unpacking that and starting the journey of healing. The journey is a long one. Healing doesn't happen overnight. It's going to be a process and it's going to suck. But in order to be your best self, in order to be the best version of you, you have to start somewhere and you have to unpack the things that are keeping you from moving forward. You're not broken. You're just in between. And so if you're finding yourself feeling stuck, allow me to help you get unstuck. So what are the challenges that think about it. Like what are the challenges that you need help with? Most of us need a job, right? Well, how do you write about yourself? How do you talk about yourself? We're not taught to talk about ourselves. Yeah, do we get awards and decks for a reason? But if we were to answer that question in an interview, most of us don't really know what to say. And that's the first thing that would be a good start is learning how to talk about yourself from a good advantage point of like, who are you? And you're not just what you were in the military. You're far beyond that. But that's the first question. You have to identify yourself as being like, who are you? who are you then? Who are you now? And who are you going to be in tomorrow? And that's the question. That's the hard question. So this is where I come in, helping you to rebuild your foundation. And it starts with three simple questions. One, what do I need right now? Not someday, not 6 months from now, but today. Two, what do I value outside of rank, role, or recognition? What is it that you do value? And three, what does peace look like in this new chapter? What does peace look like to you? Now that you're disengaging from and disconnecting yourself from that military community and that lifestyle that you're so used to in the span of 4, 5, 6, 10, 15, or 20 years. Mm, what does peace look like to you? It's a really good question. Do you want to live in the woods off the grid, or if you have a family and you're trying to relocate into a different community, that's a little where you can breathe a little bit easier, whether it's a city or the country, you've got to learn to find your place in this world. Transition planning isn't about what's next. It's about stabilizing who you are right now. So when I think back to when I got out of the Navy first, I thought I needed a plan. So I was living in Florida at the time. I was living with my dad. I was like 22 years old at the time. I just turned 22 and I was just so lost. I didn't want to go. My job in aviation probably could have translated over to the airport or some other like small aviation company, and I didn't want that. I really didn't know what I wanted. So those first few months, I kind of just let myself be and just kind of let all the toxicity of where I worked, um, let it kind of purge away from me because I was working 22 hours every day and I was overworked. I was very tired. And when I left the Navy, I left broken and disgusted. Didn't want to have anything to do with the military ever again. And it was definitely a period of my life where I was just like, I don't know who I am. I don't know what I'm doing. But then in 9/11 happened, and so it kind of opened up a door of opportunity after being unemployed for a few months. I was like, "Ugh, I don't know what else to do. I guess I'll go back into the military." And that's what I did. I joined the Air Force and I chose that branch because I wanted a better quality of life in the military because I didn't want to repeat my first tour. I didn't want that life. I wanted to be around good people and a work-life balance. And for the most part, that's what I experienced, but I had a hard time adjusting, could not relate to anyone. And I just felt like, well, I guess the Air Force is not for me. So your my journey, I always felt like I don't know where I fit in. Well, maybe you're not supposed to fit in. We'll get to that later. But if you're in that place and you're full of questions and you're feeling a little frustrated, you got to start with yourself. Not just your next job. I mean, we all need to work, we all need to eat, we all need to pay bills, but it's not just about a job. It's not just about a degree. It's about you and who you are outside of the uniform. That's not a question that you can answer once or twice. It's going to be something that you're going to revisit every time your life is shifting. And the good news is you don't have to figure it out alone. That's what I'm here for as your battle buddy. And this is why Echo Tango Sierra exists. Because we forge ahead together, one honest conversation at a time. So, If you found some value out of this video and you could relate to it, comment, like, share about my mission and what I'm doing. You can visit echotangosierra.com to find out more about my story and what I do. And then feel free to get in touch, subscribe, and next episode, I will we'll catch you in the next episode when the mission next excuse me, next episode when the mission ends, the real transition begins. Well, I wanted to say it that way. So, excuse the mess. We're all a mess. So, I'll see you in the next episode. Have a good day, and remember, you're not alone.